I'm recording the podcast.
And I'm talking over here.
To the godparents!
Alright. Levels are good. Hello, welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast, the Zelda-themed podcast, everything Zelda over here. Last episode, we went over Terrytown. We witnessed a wedding of one of our broskies in the Sun family. We constructed a whole town from nothing. And this episode, we are going to dive into some creepy, awesome story points. Namely the Colosseum, Satori Mountain, and the Palace. My name is Tony, and with me, as always, my two co-hosts.
I'm Ryan Fonzie, and I'm a Forgotten Temple.
That's what it was called.
I'm Cameron Hagee, and if you look real close at the top of my shiny head, you can see your future.
Oh, I'm going to record a podcast tonight.
Oh, that's crazy.
Cool.
My future looks like a bald head. I wonder what that means.
Yikes.
Uh-oh.
It's a lot of hair to lose, my guy. A lot of hair to lose. Yeah, so today we're going over all of these, like, places that are kind of a big deal, but also aren't really story points, come to think of it. Like, they're,
Extras.
Extra.
yeah, extras would be a good way to put it. Easter eggs in their entirety, in a way. I mean, one of them is kind of an homage, but the other two are just like interesting add-ons with pretty little explanation aside from what you might see in another game. But yeah, to me, these were three locations that kind of stood out. I mean, the map is just full of Easter eggs. I mean, as we've gone through the story so far, we've seen tons of side places that we've casually mentioned. And there's a ton that we could have picked from, but these three I feel like too big to ignore and kind of centrally located as well. Like they're easy to find, easy to stumble into and be like, wow, this is like actually a huge piece of artwork that they just kind of threw into the game. But yeah, I don't have an order that I'd like to go over, but I don't know. How are you guys feeling about? Have you guys been to all three locations? Let's start there.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Definitely been to all three of the locations. I will say that the Forgotten Temple was definitely a fun, like, sort of battle strategy, simulation. It kind of reminded me of, like, yeah, you have this, like, simulation course in front of you, and you have to get past it. You can do whatever you want to get past it, but you have to, just get past it. It kind of reminded me of, like, you're in, like, the military, and you're just, like, trying to get past these, like, turrets or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like a practice run for Hyrule Castle in a way because of that. Like it's like a little combat simulation for the end of the game. But I think what's really cool about that temple, I mean, two things that stand out to me. One, the entrance looks like something out of Shadow of Colossus. Like just,
straight up.
That's exactly how it presents itself. It's like a giant canyon to a small door and like a giant temple wall that it's like a dead end. So it just when you see it, it demands to be explored. But the second you get inside, you're faced with immediate danger. It's like you shouldn't have come in here, even though we clearly wanted you to come in here. Like
we put a giant door here for you to
yeah.
come in here, but you probably shouldn't.
The security's pretty tight. So, and when you do find your way through it, at the end, you get rewarded with what is one of the coolest callbacks to another game that I think is in this game. The giant goddess statue. It's pretty much sized proportional to the one that's found in Skyloft, which is the intent. Like, this whole place is supposed to be a callback to the goddess statue of Skyloft. Sorry, and it's a little bit frustrating because I went and I tried to like find other details around the room, and aside from some like wall carvings, there's really not much. It doesn't map 1-to-1 with the temple like entryway or anything like that, but it does have a lot of similar like pillars and stuff along the walls. So it's still a really cool location overall. Like,
Did you
I
guys
always find myself wandering into it, but
ever check out the top of that Forgotten Temple?
the top of it?
Yeah.
Do you mean like the Hyrule Earth above the temple, or do you mean like the
No,
ceiling?
like, yeah, like when you get to the top of the temple, I'm talking about like the Hyrule Earth. Like, there's a good portion of that temple that's not underground, and it's really weird. It's sort of like engineered with modern architecture in mind. It had like, you could check it out when you get to play again, but there's like little circles and they're spaced proportionally, like, down the line of the temple as it gets, into the canyon wall. And these circles are like evenly placed. There's like barriers set up, and it almost seemed like sort of medieval engineering marked with like modern engineering, how there's like radiators placed like evenly, and there's just like these circles that like had like little things in them, and they're just like fits. It was so weird when I saw that. I'm like, why would they put this up here? Like, who's just gonna go to the top of this temple and be like, huh, wonder why this is here? Like, they put so much detail into it, and it's like, what?
I don't know that
It
I've
was
ever
really strange.
like noticed when walking above the temple. Because I've always approached it from the canyon, so I've only ever seen the giant pillar wall with the little.
For some reason, I
walk
wanted
into.
to like go up it, so I used Rivali's Gale and like jumped up the side of it, got past the trimming or molding on the side of the thing, and just walked up it. And there's some crazy architecture, like engineering is like all evenly placed. Everything is like in order, and it looked very like modern from how Hyrule building is essentially.
Yeah.
And even that temple being so ancient, I was like, this makes no sense why this is here.
I wonder how active this temple was before the 100 Years Ago War. Because there's a bunch of guardians in it that are just dead on pillars. Like, they don't have legs. They're not dead. They're like the disabled guardians, right? Like the ones that just kind of sit in one place and act like turrets. So did they get damaged to be that way, or were they just always kind of sitting there? Like, to me, this temple comes across as something that got excavated when the Sheikah were like looking for the divine beasts and for the guardians, right? Like they see those flashbacks of them digging through the canyon walls and stuff. I imagine they would have come across this forgotten temple and found it this way.
It's sort of
very confusing.
Does look, if you look at the ceiling, I'm talking about when you get to the roof, it does look half excavated because part of it's open, and then part of it looks like there's like various portions at different heights, like it was like mined out, kind of.
Okay.
So yeah, that theory kind of holds up. Except for the canyon itself, that's very excavated.
Yeah, that's just
naturally
digging a big old trench trying to find something. You know how it is. The quarry.
And then the shrine is such a major letdown. So there's a shrine at the end of it where the goddess statue is. And you get a great flame blade at the end. Like, what is this? 30 damage? What do I need this for?
What is this? The ancient tree stump?
The Great Flame Blade's supposed to be one of the better weapons in the game. The only reason I say that is because of one of the other locations we're going to go over today. But, you know.
It's like, come on, I kill 17 guardians and you give me a flame blade.
Wasn't it like a blessing shrine, though? Because you just
It was a blessing, but they had a treasure chest
to get to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a treasure chest there, and it was just, I was like, okay. Could have used an Edge of Duality or a Yiga Chakram, but now I get a Flame Blade.
I don't understand the complaint.
Could have been a mirror shield in here, but
would you make it
don't see mirror shield.
So I have weapons like all in the 60s and 70s at this point. So 30 to me is like.
There's also somewhere in here is the like the Tunic of the Wild or something like that. It's basically Link's Breath of the Wild classical style outfit, where it's just a green tunic, but it's got a special name. I don't remember what the actual name was now that I'm here recording, which is super convenient.
No, I think you're right. I looked it up. It's Tunic of the Wild.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Cap of the Wild and Trousers of the Wild.
There you go. The entire of the Wild set is up in here. I didn't even find it this time. I went all through the temple and just was looking at the architecture and didn't even find the
I didn't find it either.
Hello, everybody. Ryan Fonzie here on a editor's mic, just to pop in and say that the reason we didn't find the Tunic of the Wilds is because you actually have to complete every shrine in the game before those outfit pieces will appear. So we didn't unlock them yet, and that's why we didn't find them. Thanks. We'll now return to our episode. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, but speaking of the way here, though, did any of you guys play Goron Golf? Like the...
No, so what I did...
I don't even remember that.
I went north, actually.
Okay. Came down from above.
From this no, I left north. After I went from the roof, I just kept going. I actually ran into the pro snowboarder chick and got some snowboarding action in, some Shaun White. Yeah.
Solid.
It was fun. I'd never done that my first playthrough, so I was like, they got snowboarding in this game?
Yeah, that Twilight Princess style, man. Just
ride
that mountain.
But no, I never did the golf Goron thing.
Oh yeah, down in the canyon there's a Goron with a pretty sizable golf ball. It's, you know, bigger than Link. And you basically it's stasis golf. You get the course, I think the best you can do is 3 hits, like 3 strikes, but you stasis the golf ball, hit it a bunch of times, aim it where you want it, and then 3 is the best that I was able to do. I don't think you just can't get the distance otherwise. But like maxed out power, it still takes 3 hits to get it there. But that was a fun little vignette to go through.
What'd you win?
What did I win? Bunch of rupees.
Tons of rupees.
Ton of rupees. Yeah. I don't remember if there's anything special when you get the 3 the first time, but I think it's just a ton of rupees. Fun game though. Free hammer for the first try. He's just got one sitting there at the camp, so fun stuff. The other thing is that there's a dragon that flies through this canyon all the time. We talked about that before. Din Raal shows up here. So if you're trying to farm Din Raal, this is a great place because he comes through on a regular basis. I want to say even more often than Farash along the river. Like you'll be golfing, you'll see the dragon 3 or 4 times. Like it's crazy. But this time, getting into the Forgotten Temple, I actually rode up on the Mountain Guardian. So I tried to chain my experiences together, and the Forgotten Temple was actually the last one that I visited. So it's kind of funny we're talking about it backwards. But Satori,
See, that was the way that I did it.
Oh Yeah.
I think we probably actually have a mirrored.
For sure. But okay, so Satori Mountain is a place that we've actually talked about on a couple episodes, just in casual mention. Like by now you all know there's an apple orchard on the mountain because I've raised that thing to the ground twice at least. There's also hardy durians on that mountain. There is a lot of birds above the mountain. There are deer all over the mountain as well if you go at the right time.
Did you know that there's a beetle tree on the mountain?
A beetle tree? One specific beetle tree?
Yeah, so if you look at the mountain and you look south, south, southwest, as in very, very heavily south, almost straight under like the tip of the mountain, but then just a little to the east, you can see like a relatively solid clump of trees that's still among the mountain before it really falls off into the daylight forest.
Okay.
That solid chunk of trees that's south, south, southwest of like the name Satori Mountain, or maybe even just directly south, has a giant tree that is like one of those trees that has multiple giant winding trunks going up together to create like almost like the spooky trees in the hit Lost Woods.
Okay.
Where they kind of have a couple, probably like 5 or 6 trunks all going up in a spiral as it gets to the top. And it's just lined with beetles. You can hop on it. Like I think he stealth geared up and then jump on it. And then you can go around the whole thing climbing and grab every single beetle. There's probably something like 15 beetles on that tree.
I have not run into the beetle tree. Is it on the mountain or is it just nearby?
It's like towards the base of the mountain. It's where the topographical portion of it is starting to pick up and actually turn into a mountain, but it hasn't quite tapered off at the plains at the bottom of it or the flat part. So it's like mountain base, but still pretty much on the mountain.
Okay. I will have to try to check that out. I've never been to the beetle tree.
There's a Korok seed right above it on the map too.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the more southern Korok seeds on the mountain. And then right under that is a solid chunk of trees. It's very dense. And then that's the big old beetle tree.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. There's also Rutal Lake to the left of that. To the west of that, you could say.
West?
West? Yeah. It's treasure chests, stuff like that. But the real draw of Satori Mountain is the guardian of the mountain. Every once in a while, when you're perusing the landscape of Hyrule, you might see what appears to be an Aurora Borealis just kind of chilling directly on top of this mountain. The mountain itself appears to glow from a distance.
Yeah, it's like Broly standing up there going Super Saiyan,
Yeah.
Right. And if you manage to get over to the mountain while that's happening, you will find what is known as the guardian of the mountain. He's kind of like a cross between a Bloopy and the forest guardian from Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, actually, I could agree with that.
And yeah, just like this massive forest spirit. It is a mount. You can ride it. But when you first come across it, you'll like there's actually a cherry blossom tree up on the mountain and a little pond right in front of it. And when you first find it, what you'll see is this guardian standing beneath the tree with a whole ring of Bloopies just kind of having a council meeting around the pond.
Free money.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not trying to ride the Guardian, you could just kind of like slow-mo bomb arrow the entire council and come out of there rich. But who would do such a thing?
What?
No.
The conservationist.
Oh no!
Listen,
they're not coming back with the blood moon.
If they didn't want to take damage, they wouldn't be carrying rupees.
Right?
Oh no!
It's the same thing that the loot bugs say in Deep Rock. You don't want to carry the minerals, then don't walk around with them.
That's right where my head went to, actually.
The loot bugs. Except they don't And I mean, bloopies, they're immortal, man. I mean, you can hit them as much as you want. Eventually, they just run away.
Yeah, the spirits. You know, I had a lot of trouble finding and getting the blue light to appear. I was getting frustrated because I think I went like at least a week's worth of in-game nights and days trying to get this darn thing to spawn. So I actually looked up a like basically guide of how this thing works, and I guess it comes out only on days of crescent moons, which was really interesting. I don't really know if you can think of any correlation with the Lord or Guardian of the Mountain on crescent moons, but there's like a whole moon cycle that it follows between like new moon, crescent moon, 7-day moon, and it follows a pattern over 8 days. So I was getting so frustrated. I waited like 7 days and I just had to wait one more just to get it to spawn.
I did not
But
know
one
that
more
it had a
day. I
pattern.
almost had it.
I thought it was completely
I didn't
random.
either.
Yeah, I heard it was
Yeah.
completely random. And the person I read the article from claimed they went through multiple in-game weeks, like 21 days before they found it. So
Well,
So
maybe they were full of bubkiss.
it
says
is the Lord of the Mountain, by the way. Sorry, quick correction. I said Guardian of the Mountain. It's the Lord of the Mountain. It just acts as a
Lord.
guardian.
Yeah, this article says Lord. I just wasn't sure which one it is, but it says it spawns at a random time of the day of a crescent moon,
Yeah.
and it will remain for the next following 24 hours until that next 8 a.m. cycle starts the following
Right.
day.
And when the Lord of the Mountain is present, no enemies are present on the mountain.
Ooh.
Which is really cool. And there's like an increased amount of regular animals. Apparently, the
So
part of the
cool.
lore is that it calls in a migration of animals from around the mountain. Whenever there's the glow.
There's also this interesting tidbit I never knew about. Apparently, there's an NPC called Hino at the Dueling Peaks stable who tells you what phase of the moon is currently going on in Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
We
Finding
got
a
an
bunch of stuff
astrologer
out.
over here.
Right? He kind of looks like an astrologer. He's got like a little what are those little hats called? Those little like newsboy hats.
Flat
Black
cat?
cat.
Yeah. He's got one of those on. He's got like a whole vest and scarf. He just looks like he's a grade A astrologer over here.
Extra.
the stars.
Read all about the moon. In its 17th crescent cycle this month. How's that happen?
Well, what can you do?
Then it turned red all of a sudden.
I thought there was another character who would tell you if it was a blood moon or not. Is it the same guy?
Maybe.
If
He might
not,
tell
then
you,
they
like-
need to get together.
You
Got some stuff in common.
need to find each other.
Sorry, kind of jumping back to the Lord of the Mountain here. The thing about the Lord of the Mountain and about Satori Mountain is that it's actually kind of like a in memoriam. The whole thing is an homage to the late president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata. And it's kind of cool because I didn't know this until I did a little bit of research, but I guess if you get a picture for the Hyrule Compendium of the Lord of the Mountain, there's actually like everything has a description in the compendium, and I didn't even know that much because I've never spent a lot of time reading through the compendium. But the description for the Lord of the Mountain is this. It says, "This noble creature watches over all animals that make their homes in the forest. Legends say this holy creature is a reincarnation of a sage that died on the lands it now protects. It has an acute awareness of its surroundings, so it seldom appears before people. It's sometimes known by its other name, Satori." Right? So, like, just straight up. I mean, I think that the description of this, along with, if you look up any interviews from heads at Nintendo who used to work with Satori, you see a lot of love there. Like, you see a lot of people who genuinely miss him. He was the president for a while. I mean, he passed away in 2015, if I remember right. And before that happened, he was active as the president for like a good 12 years. And he worked really closely with like Miyamoto. He worked really closely with most of the names that we talked about, like right before we started this season. He was known to be someone who was genuinely caring, who tried to help people solve problems, who, when somebody had something they were excited about, they would take it to him and they would talk about it. It was like, he just had genuine relationships within the company. And I mean, the fact that they put an entire mountain dedicated to him in the game just kind of speaks to that. Because I'm sure Nintendo over the years has lost other employees, whether or not, the names were huge and well known. I don't know that they were kind of, remembered the same way or put into the game just to say, hey, like he really embodied the spirit of what we were trying to do here, but yeah, it's just a cool bit that they put in the game. Is like kind of makes Breath of the Wild. I mean, it just has this area in it. It's kind of like when you start to read like a great novel and you see the beginning, like, it's dedicated to such and such, like usually somebody close to the author. Just reminds me of that. Kind of a touching thing. I mean, aside from it being this really cool, like ethereal mystery that they kind of put in the game, because nobody knows exactly what this Lord of the Mountain actually is. Like, is it a deer? Is it just a spirit? Like, is it, related to any other creature? Like, are him and the Bloopies, like, are they along the same line of thing? Like, what is it, It's a reincarnation of an ancient sage, apparently. Like, part of me wonders if this was something that Satori himself was into. Like, was he a strong believer in like forest spirits, or like, was he someone who was a big fan of that kind of media, or did he have this idea before he passed away to like have something like this in the game?
That Shintoism is pretty big in Japan, and that is like the idea that there are spirits in everything. I think we've talked about that a little bit in some other season. Yeah. So I mean,
having
spirits
a strong
within
connection
nature
with nature and everything.
Yeah, is definitely a big thing in that. I don't know if that was his particular belief or any of that, but culturally, I see it.
So speaking on that, I remember it was either a YouTube video or an article I read a long time ago that Botrick, which is the guy that kind of hangs out like between Satori Mountain, I think the Colosseum, was supposed to be modeled after him, but I'm not like sure if that's actually supposed to be the thing or if it was just like
I did hear there was an NPC
fan theory
that looked very similar to him.
Yeah, so Botrick, that's part of the lore of Botrick. I mean, like if you look up the trivia about him, it'll mention that as well. Botrick is the right guy.
Very helpful.
Yeah, he'll kind of tell you information about a couple different locations around him. I think he'll tell you a little bit about Satori Mountain. He'll tell you about the Colosseum. And from what I understand, the NPCs in this game, like the Hylians, they were kind of made using a modified version of the Mii creator, from the Wii and Wii U.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, and for Botrick, they definitely made him to look like Iwata. Yeah, and he's not the only one. I guess there's Dato, who people believe is modeled after Robin Williams, who named his daughter Zelda after after playing the Ocarina of Time, I suppose.
Do you know how he's spelled?
Dato?
Do you know how? Yeah.
Dayto. It's not as close a resemblance, I would say, but it was enough where people kind of tilted their heads and was like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute." Pretty sure that's
I can see it.
I know.
I can see it.
I don't know if there are any more. My trivia's not that up on it, but apparently, you search one of these characters and there's a whole list of other Hylians that commonly get searched, and Dato is, on that list as well. But yeah, it's a little bit bittersweet to talk about this stuff. But I mean, if you're gonna talk about Satori Mountain, it only makes sense to kind of mention that Botrick is also in the game, pretty much for the same reason. And And I guess he could be our segue into our last area that we wanted to cover, which is, the Colosseum.
Coliseum.
He'll tell you that the Colosseum, Botrick will tell you about the Colosseum, and that it is used to be a place where, people would go through combat trials or to test their skills in combat. And he's like, when you still can, it's just now you're fighting against monsters for your actual life kind of thing. What's wrong?
You can tell that Mayo very much so enjoyed this on
I
Master
imagine
Quest
in
mode.
Master Quest, this is horrible. Yeah, it's got to be.
It's bad enough when it's not in Master Quest. This actually, the very first time I played Breath of the Wild, this is like probably the first major location I found off of the plateau and right where I went. And boy, howdy, was that kind of a mistake. I climbed all the way to the top and I tried to get my way down. At some point, the enemies were just too strong and I couldn't. They were just hitting me once and so then I'd come back and eventually got all the way down to the Lynel, and as you can imagine, very fresh, maybe 30 minutes. No, I mean, it was after the plateau. It took me like an hour and a half into playing Breath of the Wild. I got like some tree branches and a soldier's broadsword maybe, and I'm going after this Lynel, and
That's all you need, man.
Ouch. My duck's head got fudged big time. And that's where I found out that the game has maybe a couple of things about it that they didn't really 100% think through, like Mr. And he shoots all his arrows up into the air, and you're standing under, the Colosseum where there's like 5-6 layers of really thick rock, and those arrows like going right through all that and hitting you and kill you. Yeah. No collision whatsoever. I can stand on it, but those arrows, ethereal. It's like, come on, Nintendo, really? You're gonna let him orbitally strike me through like 6 layers of rock? Really? Okay. Guarantee my arrow wouldn't go through that rock, but I mean, that's just me,
Have you tried shooting them straight up into the air?
Yes. They got collision from my arrows. His is special. Not fair. Yeah. So that was a very difficult play. Oh, hi, kitty. Very difficult.
Yeah. Difficult is an understatement for sure in Master Quest. Every enemy in that darned Colosseum is silver and gold. So I was having a fun time. The mob, they were, everything was fine. It was fine. The whole thing was fine, except for the Lynel. Like, I remember I was probably at least 5 of my deaths. Somehow this Lynel just was like, oh, you are, let's see, 5 levels up. That's probably, let's say, 500 feet, judging from how tall the Colosseum is. And I'm fighting the moblins on the top floor. And the Lynel was like,
gets his monocle out
and just shoots me. And I'm like, okay,
what's that
sure.
noise upstairs? if I shoot exactly this trajectory, I'll hit whatever it is.
You see like that Metal Gear Solid exclamation mark.
Right.
Yeah, like he does not stop his tracking on you if you were anywhere in the Coliseum. If you walked past him. I mean,
he's supposed to be the first target. In all fairness,
I know, but like, I tried fighting him. I died more times than I could remember. There was one time that I got him down to like 30% health, and he got a really bad hit on me when he did like the march around. The problem with Master Mode and a gold Lynel is when they do the march around where they like run back, it's just like he gets so much health back that, I don't want to waste all my bomb arrows. So it's just so hard because he's getting all his health back. So
use ancient
regardless. I was like 30, 40 deaths in. I was like, I looked at him.
You say 30, like 40 deaths in?
Yeah.
Did you
what?
I would have ancient arrowed him at like death 10.
I was really trying. I was like, I want to do master mode for the new game that comes out. So I figured I can't master mode the new game if I don't beat a Lynel in this game, a gold Lynel.
You want
to? I was trying my
it, like first.
Yeah. Because to me, this is easy. Master mode in Breath of the Wild is actually easy, except for those enemies, like the gold Lynels and anything that's like at that level, or giant mobs. But
Master mode was a DLC, right? Like super quick on. So there might not be a Master mode as soon as
maybe there won't be
if it follows the trend.
That could be.
But you'll
that
be
could
super prepared. It'll feel like a cakewalk compared to what
You'll
you're
be like,
doing now.
This is too easy.
Yeah, it depends on how similar the mechanics end up being, but yeah, it should
Like
feel
Wild West dueled him, just stared at him straight in the face. He looked at me. He got like ready with his little arrow, and I got ready with my arrow, and I was like, "Hoo-dah!" Ancient arrowed him. I felt so good. I stopped. I was like,
Did you teabag his remains?
well, the sad thing is when you
Ancient
ancient arrow,
arrow.
nothing gets left behind.
Oh,
So I didn't even get the
yeah.
horns or the hoofs or anything. Sad.
Ooh, hollow
Yeah.
victory.
that is the trade-off. It's like it's like, yeah, if you want to do this easy mode, you can just kind of erase things off the map, but you also don't get rewarded for that. It's just, if you were trying to get past something, it lets you do that very easily.
You know, I almost feel like jumping ahead, you can cut this out if you want. I just want to mention this. I did the Champions Ballad and I got the one hit wonder. I almost thought like what would happen if I just like tried to jump off and like kind of like,
Just go take on the
come down
Coliseum
in the
with
air and
one-hit
just
wonder.
But I think if you like get too low to the ground past the plateau, it like knocks you off.
Yeah, that challenge I think is just for the plateau. I don't think that it
Yeah.
lets you go anywhere else with it.
So it's sad.
Yeah, haven't done that yet. And we haven't even gotten to the yeah. Yeah, I might cut that out because that episode's still coming up.
Yeah.
For this, this I was gonna mention is a farm. This place is a farm. That's what it's here for. I mean, yes, you can test your might if you want to go in and just fight the Lynel to see if you can. But the real reward of this place is after you're done fighting that Lynel, you can walk up the Coliseum fighting one enemy at a time, because none of them are archers. None of them have any kind of range. And each one will be carrying some kind of valuable weapon. Their weapons are entirely based on how far through the game you are. Like if you go in and you haven't, like if you've only fought one divine beast, like only conquered one or haven't conquered any, all of the weapons that the enemies are carrying are soldier level, and it kind of just goes up from there. So if you've already gotten 2 done, it's knight level. 3, it goes to royal, so like royal broadsword, royal greatsword, what have you.
And then it's the elementals, right?
Halberds. And then what?
And then it's the elementals at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where we
I
are
could've
now
sworn-
with the 4 beasts, having been freed already, it'll be all elemental weapons, so that you can get one of each type of fire weapon, one of each type of ice, one of each type of thunder.
Powerful.
I could have sworn that one of the enemies I fought, it's been a while, but I could have sworn one of them had a blizzard rod. One of them, the goblins.
They have ice stuff. I don't know if they have a blizzard rod.
Maybe there's a chance they could spawn with a blizzard rod.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Especially if you're playing master mode, that might happen too. But they're supposed to have like the regular sword, the great sword, and the spear. Because those are like your basic elemental weapons. Usually they don't give magical weapons like that to any ground unit. Like those are almost always whiz robes that have those. And there aren't any whiz robes in the Coliseum.
I fought, again, going back to the Champions Ballad. On that plateau, I fought a couple moblins who had the meteor rod, but again, cut that out. Yeah, I think maybe that might be a master mode thing.
In the DLC, they do give some of the Lizalfos some meteor rods just to make life difficult.
It was brutal.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess with DLC in this place, you can get the Phantom Helmet as well. That's just kind of a side note. On the wiki, it's listed as a spoiler, so I'm really sorry if that was a spoiler for anybody.
How dare you?
It's been a few years.
But yeah, those are our 3 areas. So speaking of spoilers, this right here, right at whatever timestamp we have, I don't have a timestamp. This is our spoiler wall. Anything after this, we are going to play a game. We are going to do a Tears of the Kingdom theory draft. As of this recording, we have seen the first two trailers that were actually with the title Tears of the Kingdom. So if anything else comes out after this, it can affect what we've guessed.
Yeah, the last trailer we've seen is February 8th Nintendo Direct trailer.
Exactly. Now, at the time of this recording, I should also say that we are about a day and a half past when the art book apparently leaked over on Reddit. I have not looked at the book. I don't believe my co-hosts have either. We will not be referencing the book, which means that we might have some theories that the book has already debunked, and we don't know because we don't want to know.
True.
The only thing that's going to change, I mean, like if we get another trailer before the game releases and we have time, we will probably revisit our theories for this. But everything that we're about to get into is going to be based entirely off of either the sequel to Breath of the Wild trailers and or Tears of the Kingdom trailers.
Don't ruin our blissful ignorance.
And there's a lot in there. I know some people have elected not to even watch the trailers because they just want to be surprised by everything. I know of people who do not want to hear theories for the chance that they might be correct and that they might get spoiled that way. I know that's not really my mindset about this. I have been drinking up these trailers and loving every minute of it. And so what we're going to do... Sorry, what were you saying?
No, so I was just going to say, like, I forgot where I heard it. I think it might have been Twitter. Someone said that if you take the Breath of the Wild trailers and what they showed on the trailers and what was actually like in the game and the amount of content that was in the game, you don't know anything about the game at all.
Pretty much.
Because they didn't show, like, if you go back and watch the Breath of the Wild trailers, knowing how much you know about Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh, that's like a complete, like, what they showed in the trailer is like a completely different game almost.
But I mean, in the 2019 E3 trailer, for example, we see that Ganon is just kind of chilling there with this tech arm stuck in him, like somehow stopping him, and we get that. And then I think the one after that was like a 2020 E3 trailer or 21, where we see Zelda falling down into like the darkness. So we know that at the scene that we've seen recently of Link reaching out to his hand to grab her, he probably misses and she probably falls, and then we're probably going to have to look for her. Which actually kind of ruins one of my predictions already, I think, which was co-op mode. One person plays as Zelda, one person plays as Link. Come on.
All right.
Yeah, first prediction.
For real.
Nah, okay, but what we're going to do tonight...
that is one of my predictions.
Okay, great. But before we get to that...
They know we're doing that already.
Well, I wanted to throw out kind of the ground rules of what we're doing. Right? So we're doing a draft, a prediction draft. So I mean, honestly, there's only so much information out there. So there's a very good chance that all three of us have our own theories and that some of them overlap or, you know, kind of take the same space, right? So we are going to do a draft. Now, I don't know how we're going to figure out the order of the draft. Maybe we just need to roll some dice or something, figure out how that's going to work. But as a draft, I'm thinking we do the snake method. We're each going to end up with 5 theories, which means that whoever goes first in the first round, it'll go, 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So whoever goes second will always kind of just have one guess at a time. Yeah, until we all have 5 theories. And then at that point, we are waiting for the game or for another trailer to see how we scored. I would prefer to do this where if there is another trailer, we can either like omit a certain number of our theories or change a certain number of them in order to hopefully score better when the game comes out. I want the game to be the ultimate scoring board here. I want that to be the finish line. But the thing is, like, so many people have already done trailer breakdowns and stuff like that, where I just don't think that's going to be interesting anymore to do another one. Like so everything that could be said has already been said. I mean, we're all Celtic fans over here, so I mean, we've already kind of like we know there are creators who are like so dedicated they had it all down day one. What I would want to do instead is see how well we can kind of hit the mark here, and kind of go head to head with it. Okay, so this is our wheel of names. I got Cam, Fonzie, and Giggles on here. I'm going to click. It's going to spin. We're going to figure out who's going first. All right, so here we go. And I'm going first.
Oh,
All right.
Host advantage.
I didn't mean to. It doesn't even know my name. All right, let's see who's going second. If it lands on me again, I'll be really surprised. All right, Giglione. You are going second, which means Cam's going third and gets the first double pick. All right. All right. So keep in mind, everything that we're going to share is strictly from the trailers, from information from the trailers. This is going to be extrapolated from that, right?
We have no actual knowledge. We are guessing entirely.
Right. Okay.
I don't know about you. I played the game, beat it already.
Didn't you hear the whole thing leaked over on Steam Deck?
It did?
Okay, so first theory that I have, and this is extrapolated not only, I mean, it is just from the trailers, but also from other Zelda games, right? This one is huge. This is one of my biggest theories that I have written on this page. We at this point have seen from the delay message, especially, and from the latest trailer, that the Master Sword gets some red malice on it and gets burned down to like half size. My first theory is that this is an action specifically to free Demise from the Master Sword. But that more importantly, Demise and Ganondorf are going to be two separate characters within this game. So we've seen dehydrated Ganon. We've seen the Master Sword get destroyed. I think Demise is going to be freed, and we're going to see how their relationship works. Which is something that hasn't quite been explained other than like, you know, reincarnation and yada yada. But like, I think that we're going to end up with two villains here. And I don't know how that interaction is going to work. Like, I don't know if there's going to be like a pre-Demise Ganondorf story that's being told, or, you know, a redemption arc or anything like that. I think we're going to find two separate characters. One's going to be burned out of the Master Sword, and the other one is going to be the revival of Ganondorf.
So Demise is Toothy, right? That's who you're talking about. Like,
he's
humanoid
like the
Toothy
boss that we fight after Toothy, you know, kind of gets cleaned away. Yeah.
Toothy's like the energy, and then
yeah. So that voice in the trailer, that might not even be Ganondorf. Like, that might be Demise. Like, that's kind of where this theory is going. But that's
Demise was pretty articulate.
That's my first big theory about this game.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we're put it in the Excel sheet.
All right. My turn then?
Yeah, did I steal anybody's? Any drama from that one, or is that just what it is?
No.
No drama. Okay. Cool.
I don't think you guys are going to have this one down. This is pretty out there, So my prediction is hand in hand with the Blood Moon and the title of the game. In the trailer, we see the Blood Moon kind of, I don't know, I feel like they highlighted it more than Breath of the Wild ever did. Breath of the Wild was kind of just this game mechanic, but if you watch the second trailer, the Blood Moon takes a lot of presence in the beginning of the trailer, like few scenes, and you see the moon shoots calamitous energy, like blood moon energy, down in like meteors, and they come towards the ground, and out from these meteor crashes come bokoblins and moblins, and they're bigger and badder than in Breath of the Wild. So I think the moon possibly in this game is going to be a major story component at some point, or somehow there may be some energy involved in it. You can go as far to say that the tears in the title that they're referring to, Tears of the Kingdom, are the Moon's Tears or the Blood Moon Tears, Blood Tears, however you want to say it, kind of like a Majora's Mask
I
thing.
was gonna say you dropped the name Moon Tears. I'm like, hold up. That's pretty solid, actually.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna work. Like Link might travel to the moon to try to like maybe something's gonna happen there, like end the calamity, blood magic in them all together in the moon, stop the bokoblins and moblins from spawning. Maybe there's like trapped spirit guardians in there. Maybe the Zonai disappeared and they're being tortured in the moon, which is then like creating bad juju energy. I don't know, but that's my theory. It's like something with the moon because
Okay.
they really focused on it in the trailer.
Yeah, no, they did. They gave it a couple of its own scenes in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, solid. So just moon is important is kind of your your overarching theory there.
Yeah, let me.
I can get behind that. I added. I don't know if you guys are in here too.
Let me put my whole.
Okay. I typed it in, but if you want to edit it, that works.
Oh, I actually like that. That's way more concise than what my jumble that I have.
I'm trying to summarize. So this Excel sheet will be available. We'll figure out a way to either link it in the show notes. We'll probably post up about it, but we don't want to spoil it for anybody. So we're gonna have to figure out a tactful way to do that. It'll be available through Discord most likely as well. So we'll figure that out.
I think it's my turn in this next minute.
Yeah, and you get 2.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna hit you guys with kind of a silly one out the gate. I mean, silly, but I mean,
all right.
If you think about it, I mean, So if you guys know, there was one particular character that we covered not even too long ago in the podcast that fell down a really deep hole.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Yiga Clan Chief? Well, I mean, we are going underground now. I have me a feeling that Yiga Clan Chief is returning in this game, and that he might even potentially be like a boss somewhere around, maybe like a temple dungeon or just an in-between, kind of like he was in Breath of the Wild. But he fell down into basically a bottomless pit, and we're going to be going really far underground in the next game, so I think he's coming back.
Okay, that's your theory is just gonna say Koga returns.
Koga returns. I had Return of Yiga Clan Chief because I forgot his name, but yeah.
Wow, I mean, listen, I would love that to happen.
I know, right? He'd be a good comic relief character to bring back.
They didn't finish him off, like so.
Yeah,
you know,
he wonder if he's been practicing his family technique.
It's like the movie, like, you know, standard. If you don't see them die on screen, they're not dead.
Yeah, they're still alive somewhere. He's training, so he won't be so silly the next time. And then I guess for my second one, after that, I'll just go with the one that I already said earlier. Spoiler is that maybe soon after the beginning of the game, maybe the beginning is where Zelda falls into the pit. Maybe you beat 3-4 dungeons, a couple, however the game is going to split it up, whatever they're going to call it, Divine Beast, Dungeon, Palace, blah, blah, blah. After you do maybe so many of them, you rescue Zelda, it might open up co-op gameplay. Because, I mean, there have been, I don't know if you guys know, but there have been some Twitch/YouTube people that have had modders go into the game, and they've actually played multiplayer Breath of the Wild. They modded the game to be able, the code, to be able to allow for multiplayer. So, it's not something that Nintendo is incapable of. I mean, Nintendo's track record with online games is absolutely horrendous. If they tried to completely ruin the game because they have messed it up so bad that people would just have a terrible experience because all they want to do is play with their friend. But if Nintendo could somehow get past their own Nintendoism of how they just can't get anything online right to save their lives, co-op would be amazing in this game. So there.
Yeah, if they could do it right, yeah. Definitely comes with that caveat of like, do you think that they would get it right? Or
no, I don't think they would even take the chance, honestly, because of how much they mess up their online stuff. And I feel like they at least kind of subconsciously realize that they probably shouldn't. But I would love it if it worked out and it was good.
Okay. So your second prediction is more of a wish than.
Yeah, and it's completely possible.
Okay.
I mean, we knew in Breath of the Wild it was just Link. There was no one else with him. But in this one, we do see Zelda there kind of often. So her involvement more in the story could be the opening for a second player.
Okay. Giglione, what is your second prediction?
All right. So this is just something, of like a personal. I really want this in the game. Okay.
Okay.
I want there to be a fishing system with rewards. You get a point system, you catch some fish, you get some points. Hey, you caught this mighty porgy, there's 56 points. And then when you get the points, you can trade in the fish to get valuables and other assets and shields or weapons or crafting materials or items or rupees or harp, however they do that. Because I don't think there's shrines in this game, so I don't know how you level up, but yeah, I want there to be like a standard fishing system. I don't think that's too far off. Like right now, Link's just kind of like Tarzaning it by swimming into the water and grabbing them out to sea.
Okay.
So if they actually had like a system where you can get other fish that's not just porgies, so like you can catch like bigger whales or something with like a fishing pole. Like I don't know, it'd be cool. I hope there's I love fishing systems in games.
Moldugas.
What's wrong with just chucking bombs in the water, man? We do it with dynamite in real life, in the movies, at least.
It works, but
It does work.
it'd be cool if they had you get like these cool fishing poles and
I'd like that.
I mean, traditionally, fishing has been a big part of the Zelda games. I mean, that would be nice if
Right.
they brought at least a fishing pole back, for sure.
right. Like they introduced it in what was it? Majora's Mask or was it Ocarina of Time? Yeah, it was Ocarina of Time
fishing.
as a joke. One of the two games they put it in as a joke and it actually took off.
There was a fishing game in Link's Awakening as
What's
well.
that?
But I don't know what year that came out.
Well,
And
Link's
then
Awakening
you
was
got a
way
bottle
before.
from it.
before that.
You got a bottle.
Actually, I don't know. 64 was going back a ways too.
Cool. Okay, does that make it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay, this one is silly. It's not a wish. It's not like this is what I want in the game. It's just what I think is what we've seen and we just didn't realize we were seeing it. We've gotten two different shots of Zelda falling down a hole, right? We got the one where it's just kind of her and the darkness and her kind of like falling into the darkness. And we got another one of like the earth kind of cracking below her and then a giant wave of malice going by the screen and Link kind of jumping out with his arm outstretched to try to catch her. I think these are two different scenes. I think the one of her falling into the pit is a nightmare that Link is having before he is woken up at the beginning of the game. And I think that the second one that we see of him actually diving to try to catch her is what's going to actually happen when they're down in the cave together. So I think it's a very Skyward Sword-esque situation where, like you saw, like he had the nightmare of her falling into Toothy and then, like got woken up by a Loftwing. I think it's going to be one of those situations because they seem to be sticking with the whole like Link is always woken up from sleep at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Zelda falling into darkness with Link not jumping after her, apparently, I think that is a nightmare.
It's like a crazy ploy
Yeah.
to get people scared.
And I think that he's going to get woken up from that, and then something else is going to happen in the cave. Either he's going to jump in after, or he's going to catch her, or something like that. Or, it's just going to look different. Like maybe he still loses Zelda down the hole, but I don't think it's going to look the same way if it does happen. So that is kind of a milder theory, but that is my next guess.
Checks out.
To guess the dream scene in the trailer, though.
Right.
No prior knowledge,
Yeah.
being like, that's a dream. That's a choice to make right there. So you're going again then in the snake style that we're doing?
I am.
I love
Yeah.
the prediction number 2 with Cameron. Pit Zelda is found and rescued for co-op gameplay.
Hey.
Pit Zelda.
Okay. I'm gonna say, yeah, why not? I think this will be a fun one. I think that we are going to find a Zonai Atlantis, if that makes sense. Instead of being under the ocean, I think it might be under land, but I think essentially where we're gonna find, And this is kind of a dumb guess, but listen, like I just got done watching like the Disney Atlantis movie from, I don't even know if it was 90s or early 2000s, but it was a long time ago.
From the best era.
Yeah. And like they were a whole city that was like powered off of crystals that were, you know, an ancient power within this main crystal or whatever. I think we're going to find a Zonai city that has like, I don't know if it would be crystal power. I know that's kind of one of Anthony's predictions, is like the luminous stones being a major powering element. But something along those lines. We're gonna find an entire like hidden city of Zonai. And they're gonna have ancient tech, they're gonna have ancient architecture. It's gonna be amazing. So that's my guess. I mean the overarching thing, Zonai Atlantis. We're gonna find the hidden city of the Zonai.
Zonai Atlantis.
Pretty much. I'm hoping untouched by malice, but who knows? That's my guess.
Probably
Zonai
not
Atlantis.
untouched by malice.
Well, depends on how far underground.
Yeah, I suppose it does. So far underground, they went the Falmer route and they can't see you.
Falmer.
They become feral. They're the enemies now. They were once so intelligent and so bright. Now far they've fallen.
That's not the one I originally had listed as my third guess, by the way. So I'm still trying to figure out.
Oh, I've been all out of order.
Be more interesting. To kind of put out there.
I'm putting a couple X's after the ones I already mentioned, so I don't even look at them anymore.
That's a good point.
All right, so that's my third. Next up, Cam with his. Wait, no,
Mayo's in between.
No,
Mayo with his third. What you got?
All right, so what I'm going to suggest as a prediction, because we've been seeing some trailers, we've been seeing some mining. The first trailer, we've been seeing, the whole thing with Zelda and Link, and like Link's carrying a torch as they walk underground. And when the one, I think it was the first trailer that showed gameplay, Link had this crazy dragon arm and you're lighting up this monster. My prediction is that caves and underground dungeons, or however they work the underground system, it's going to be so dark, like Typhlo dark, so that you need some magic to sustain light around you. So you're going to have a magic spell that's like, do some light, or you're going to use a torch. You're going to have to, one-hand a torch. You can't two-hand in a cave because you ain't got no light. I think there will be like natural light maybe in some places if it's like a Zonai ruin, but I think for the most part underground, you're going to need some fire, or you're going to need some torch. Maybe you can build a campfire, but you're going to need to find ways to light yourself through the caves. It's not going to just be like pre-lit for you. I think they're going to try to add a challenge in there so that you have to like think about how you navigate the cave.
Yikes.
Right?
I hope you're wrong. So badly.
The dark Pikmin caves, man.
I can't be doing the dark caves, man.
Because they've
as long as there's no Zubats,
they've teased us in the what divine beast was it? In the Typhlo ruins, like with that utter darkness. So I think they're gonna try that more.
It's Rudania.
Rudania.
Yeah. Okay.
So dark caves.
Dark caves. Luminous stones.
Luminous stones. All right. So my next prediction is going to be kind of like for how the game is going to like progress, or how it's basically constructed. And I think since we have some of the land or ruins or whatever is getting lifted into the sky, and we know that we're going to be going underground for a portion of it, I think that the game's main points, the main dungeons, the main story content is going to be taking place in the sky and underground. Whereas the base, just land of Hyrule, is mostly going to be a hub that's connecting the different entrances to those different sky areas and underground areas, but also where the castle ultimately is, although it's kind of also in the sky. So I feel like you're going to be doing a mixture of going up to do certain things and then going down to do certain things, always kind of returning to the surface to get to the next area. And then by the time you get to the end, that's also where you'll fight whatever the final enemy is at the castle. So basically, Hyrule is a giant hub world connecting the top and the bottom, which is where most of the intense things and story things are going to happen.
Gotcha. Okay.
I thought about that as one of my
That's
predictions.
pretty solid. I mean,
We were on the same page.
yeah,
Hey.
it really feels like, I mean, especially with the fact that this is a sequel that uses the same, and I use that like the same map. I mean, it's you're gonna recognize certain areas, right? Like we know this from the trailers. Like they've shown us. In fact, I think they may have gone out of their way to only show us areas on the ground level that we are familiar with. Because there's a chance that they won't all be as similar as what we've seen. But if they're going to do that and they're going to expand upon that and they're going to give us, sky islands and underground sections, like it would make sense for the main content to not be on the same map. Using the main map as a hub world, I think that's a really good guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Then do I go again?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Prediction 4.
Okay, so there's been a couple scenes where we've gotten to see Death Mountain. And Death Mountain, I can't tell if it's completely closed up at the top, but there seems to be trails of malice just coming out of Death Mountain.
Yeah.
So my guess is that Death Mountain somehow gets sealed, maybe by something falling out of the moon. And it gets just the malice is leaking out, which would also make sense that it was like a shard of the moon or a tear from the moon, like Anthony said. And I think that we're at some point going to have to go underground, go underneath Death Mountain, and that one of the dungeons, palaces, temples, divine beasts, whatever, is going to be going from underneath Death Mountain and going all the way back up to the top to basically open it up or to cleanse whatever fell into it in the first place.
So we're going underneath it and climbing it. Kind of like a what's it called? Not one of the islands in Wind Waker. Which one? Dragon Roost Island kind of situation.
Yeah, like going in from the bottom and ending up at Volvagia.
Exactly. You end up at that giant thing that you got to swing on its tail and blow open the top. Yeah, basically. But except it's going to be you go underground to get into the base of the entire mountain and then go up through it.
That would be fun. They definitely had a lot of like space to work with there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. I hope I put that on the right. I might have put that on Anthony's on accident. I did put that on Anthony's on accident. My bad. Hold on.
I'm like fighting between
okay
which two I want to or which three I want to use.
Which are your predictions? So far, I haven't seen any overlap. I mean,
right.
I think Cam might have had one or two that Anthony also had on his list somewhere, but it seems like
no I was gonna put
conflicts.
the one about the dungeon, being in the sky and having the hub, but I didn't. I just thought about it.
Great minds.
I just want them. Actually, I won't say it because it might be one of yours. So I'll just keep it to myself till we're done.
Okay, unless you want to spout it as a theory to try to steal it.
No, because I don't have it wrote down here. So I'm gonna go with something that I have been saying for the last probably 3 episodes, which has probably been spoilers, but it's a prediction, so it's whatever. Magic meter system. So Cameron touched on it. I kind of touched on it a little bit with, the Zonai, but I'm like, with the inclusion of the Zonai magic arm, I think magic is going to be making its return. It's been a staple of Zelda. I think it's going to be a gatherable resource. I think it's going to be gathered through luminous stones. They have the same color, the same hue, the same energy. So I think that like the Zonai made use of the crystal's power and was able to do magic with it. Because if you look at like the trailer, there's sort of like red crystals, there's sort of like green crystals. So I think there's some sort of magic system involved here. You can make, if you look at the Zonai vehicle, the little box car, that has like a green Zonai crystal box, like in the middle of it.
Looks like the engine.
Right. It looks like one of the little capsules from the hip thing too. Like it's the same shape and scheme.
So I think like there's going to be a gatherable magic resource that we have to like sustain our vehicles. We have to sustain our magic with it, which is going to suck because it's you know, we don't have like an infinitely charged tablet at our disposal anymore, but I think it adds more character so that you don't just go through the environment with infinite bombs.
Yeah.
Call it luminous dust.
That's cool.
I don't want to make the predictions too specific. There is a certain level of like what would you say, like generic or like vagueness that I was hoping to avoid, and so we haven't hit that at all. Like it hasn't been like one of those things where it's like, I don't think that prediction is bold enough. You need to add like 2 more details to your prediction. I think this has been going pretty good.
That's winning.
I gotta hit my last 2 for the draft here. Oh yikes! Okay, and I have 7 to pick from. No, that one just doesn't seem right anymore. Okay, Gleeox. Let's talk about Gleeox.
Gleeox.
So far, we've seen in the trailer, in the most recent trailer, there was a Gleeok-esque creature. I'm just gonna go ahead and say they'd probably name it a Gleeok as part of my prediction, but that's not really the point. I think Gleeoks are a response to the dragons. I think the Gleeok, because the first one that we see is placed on the bridge of Hylia, which is right where Farash normally spawns, like right off the bridge there on that island, or right by the island, I should say. It comes out of the lake, right? I think the Gleeoks are placed to keep the dragons like at bay. Because I think Demise, Ganondorf, what have you, whoever the villain ends up being, these predictions aren't tied together. I'm trying to make that clear. I think that the Gleeoks are either going to be placed in such a way, or they're going to be kind of like part of a plan to take over, right? So the dragons would be seen as a major threat if they can be seen. I know that there's like rules as to who can see them and who can't, but just with Demise and Ganondorf being as powerful as they're supposed to be, I think that maybe they do sense the presence of the dragons and see them as guardians of their respective areas, and sends his own dragons out there to kind of meet that challenge, to balance that power level out. So I think that the Gleeoks are a response to the dragons. Whether or not they actually fight, whether or not you have to, defeat a Gleeok in order for the dragon to then be able to spawn, I don't know.
What was a Gleeok again?
The Gleeok is the giant 3-headed fire dragon.
Oh, yes. Okay.
From
I saw him on the bridge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've only been in a few Zelda games thus far. Like, I know the first game.
That's going to be a fun fight.
And one of the Wind Waker titles. I don't remember which one.
You got to fight a dragon.
Yeah, so I think that dragon is like, I think there'll be at least one per like dragon that we know of already, kind of taking over their zones. They
are sure darn scary.
That's my prediction. Is that Gleeoks are a thing? That's not how.
Seems like they're
the way I would summarize it is Gleeoks are.
Seems like they're bringing back a lot of enemies back from the dead.
Get dragon blocked, boy.
Dragon block. You gotta fight a dragon.
Yeah, you do. With a weird arm thing.
You gotta fight a 3-headed dragon.
You gotta fight Ghidorah.
Oh, geez.
Okay, now I gotta pick my last one. Oh, gosh. If you guys had stolen any of these, it would have been a lot easier. Not gonna lie. Because I picked some wild and out ones here.
Has anyone had theirs stolen yet?
No.
We did good.
No, nobody's gotten theirs stolen.
One of mine is probably not bold enough, though, to actually talk about.
Yeah, that's how I feel about one of mine. That's why I'm not going to talk about it. I'll save it for the after party.
What enough to talk about?
It's not bold enough. It's not actually saying enough. It's like you could watch the trailers and almost be like everybody would have that thought at some point in the trailers. It's like it's not.
Yeah, okay.
It's not outlandish enough to be worth talking about.
If we're going by those rules, then I only have 2 theories left. I'm gonna have to throw this out there. Do you guys want the wild and crazy, or do you want the simple?
Give me that wild crazy.
Crazy.
I want the crazy. Okay. So this is another Ganondorf versus Demise versus what have you kind of situation, but this is the arm that we saw that everyone is like, oh man, it's sealing Ganondorf down in the thing. I think that the reason that that's there is different. I think that and this is where it's going to be like, I think I'm wrong here. I should just throw that out there, but I think that this is a plausible thing that they could do to subvert our expectations. I think that maybe we're going to see the story of Ganondorf as a non-villain. And I think what we might end up seeing is the 8th heroine story, where this character is down here originally by choice. Like they were hoping to seal or, take on Malice, right? Like they're trying to like get rid of it. And they used the help of Zonai magic to basically become a human seal for Malice. And instead of having been trapped by the Zonai, instead they were actually working with the Zonai in this situation. So this is someone who has willingly like sacrificed themselves to try to contain the Malice, and it's just not working.
Sacrifice their body as a prison.
Yeah.
That's
so
deep.
the Malice has been leaking out of this system in horrible ways, but the original intent was actually to try to seal it. So I don't know how that plays into the 8th heroine story or how that would all work out, but my part of my guess is that this Gerudo character was actually trying to help.
What if
was a human seal?
What if the Malice was a problem, but when they tried to seal it, it actually somehow acted as a conduit that made it able to get out even easier? And that was the 8th heroine. So then they completely scrapped it from the books because it ended up turning against them, being something that they wish they hadn't done, like a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes into like part of me was thinking like, okay, if this person was like, I'm going to seal the Malice, and it didn't work, or maybe they ended up turning evil for a while before they were actually like contained, like maybe they were like, you know what, this person does not deserve this recognition. It didn't work. They're actually became a villain or what have you, and that's why they banished the 8th heroine.
Yeah.
And in reality, like, I mean, I think I'm trying to figure out how this would play out. Like, part of this theory was also like, why do they not believe in Hylia so much as they believe in the 7 heroines? And I'm like, maybe when they faced evil, they never got help from Hylia, which is why the Malice wasn't sealed inside of the Master Sword. It wasn't taken on by a hero that was related to Link or, a Hylian soldier. Like they figured it out themselves with the heroines, and that's why they worship the heroines, because they tried something else, and what they tried became what we're seeing in the cave, which is what everyone thinks is Ganondorf kind of being held by a Zonai arm with Malice coming out of it. Like that was the ultimate result, was this disaster. But maybe for a while it worked. Like maybe it kept it out of the desert, like maybe they saw themselves as like maybe it failed at first, so the heroine got banished, but at the same time, like eventually the heroines as a collective figured it out or something, like I don't have all the answers. It's not, this is a story that I'm hoping that the game might tell if it's going to happen. Like I don't have all the details, but what I'm having is like, what we see is not what we think we see.
And maybe like to take that even further beyond is the whole reason why maybe it's like it's Calamity Ganon and not like Calamity something else is, like you said, because he's there or she, or the eighth heroine is there with the arm, actively having that seal, but the energy that's leaking out is taking the form of who it's being sealed by. And so, Calamity Ganon gave Rose out of the sealer. It's not really like them being necessarily evil. It's just the evil took it the image of who the host is, essentially. Like maybe they're evil thoughts, maybe they're evil, inside them. I don't know. Maybe like he's
It just
good.
chose to personify or reveal itself in the form of what its conduit looked like.
Yeah. So maybe that's
or something.
The whole story of Breath of the Wild in a nutshell is that we're gonna find out with the 7th or 8th heroine. I like that theory.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It also ties into my moon one.
Okay. Well, that's my last prediction of the draft is that. So I'm going to try to summarize that best I can in our Excel sheet. It's going to be kind of tricky, but
not as seems.
Not as seems.
That would be way too simple.
Yeah, man.
So I'm hoping for this. It's a successful type of game. It's a successful genre to put into games. Time and time again, games do this as like a little subset of the overworld, and I think it works. And Hyrule Warriors was a phenomenal game that did very well, sold a lot of copies, people loved it. So I think what they may do is for the overworld to give it a little bit more class, because people said that the overworld was kind of empty. I think they're going to have a blend now, because we see, again, with the moon theory, it shoots down a bunch of dudes. There's a lot more enemy types we've seen from the trailer. So I think there's going to be world defense events. So just in the overworld, you're going to see, towns getting attacked, or maybe there's just wild battles going on between knights and bokoblins. You're going to have to participate in these defense events. I think maybe there's like a friendship system or like race, like quest system. So like the more quests you do for like a society, like say the Gorons or the Zora, for example.
Like reputations?
Yeah, like reputation points, like based on the defense events. So like I think like, if you defend this town's under attack and something like that, I think that'd be like a cool addition to add more flavor to the overworld. Since we've already seen the overworld in Breath of the Wild, I think that would add more to it.
I really like that. And usually games that have reputation systems tend to have like a specific vendor that as you get reputation for them, the more you help them, it would like unlock things you could buy that would be maybe like themed around that exact faction.
Yeah. Like Zora weapons, for example. If you get more reputation, you can get like the super silver scales.
Yeah, the silver stuff.
Yeah. So that would be a really cool prediction if it came true. I mean, they have the implementation of defense events because they did it in Age of Calamity, so
that would be really cool. Like even as like a prerequisite to get places, like the Death Mountain dungeon that I had as one of my predictions. Like, what if you had to defend the Gorons enough to get like a fire tunic or some sort of fire resistant armor similar to getting Breath of the Wild from them in order to actually go into the dungeon as kind of like a progression stopper?
Yeah,
temporarily, so you have to do something else to progress.
I mean, we kind of had something similar to that in Breath of the Wild too. I mean, like from the way Cam's describing it. I mean, I think the way Anthony's describing it's more of like overworld events that kind of happen as you explore. But I mean, like in Breath of the Wild, I mean, every time you went to go take on a divine beast, they were first like, "Hey, can you help us with this thing first?" Like, can you take on this other side mission first, and then go do that?
What's essentially
that just
like
seem more like prerequisite quest than an entire reputation system based around.
Yeah.
It's essentially kind of you can mold them both together in
kind
a way,
of work in a similar way, which would make sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just to follow the pattern between the two games. I think that would make sense. It's good. I think okay. So last prediction, right?
Wait, did Mayo have 5 or did he only have 4?
That was his 5th.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so last one incoming here. See what I got. There's really only one that's good enough to make it onto the list that I have left. And it's something that Ryan already kind of brought up a little bit, but I expanded on it a tiny bit. Not in this list, but I'm talking in a different time. And it's going to be kind of a full weapons system. You're going to be able to create your weapons. You're going to be able to repair your weapons. You're going to be able to enchant your weapons, like with the sapphires to give ice to your weapon, with topaz to give electricity, with rubies to give fire. And on top of that, I think also, if you guys remember in the most recent trailer, there was that weapon that Link does a jump and then a spin, and he throws a bomb at a Talus.
Yeah.
I think there are going to be either bosses themselves, like in dungeons, like final bosses that are going to give you a material that you then collect more to create a special, unique weapon. Or there's going to be overworld bosses like the Talos itself that are going to help you create a weapon that you could then repair afterwards and have maybe multiple different types. Like maybe one fires ice bombs, one fires electric bombs. And basically that. It's the entire idea of the weapon system of creating, repairing, enchanting, and even getting more powerful boss weapons from particular ingredients dropped by only the bosses.
I hope. That would be sick.
Would that not be pretty sick?
That would
That
be
would
sick.
be dope. And kind of, how Fonz mentioned, I think in the previous episode I think we were just talking for fun.
Other things on their heads.
Like the bokoblins have different shaped tools and weapons on their heads.
Yeah.
Crafting, I think that was a very good point to bring up.
Good deal. All right.
I have a quick 5-second honorable mention if you don't mind.
Oh,
just gonna
you want to
there.
throw in one honorable mention?
Yeah, let's go for honorables.
It'll take 5 seconds. All right, they're gonna bring back the hook shot. Give me that hook shot, baby.
Oh, I want the hook shot. Give me that hook shot. Yeah,
give it to me.
Best weapon in any item in any Zelda game.
You go hook shot around the mountains. You hook shot up in places. You go hook shot anywhere you want to go. Hook shot.
Okay,
want
I'm gonna rename this column honorable mention.
I guess my honorable mention is going to be there was some new flying enemies revealed in the most recent trailer. I think you're going to be able to ride them. I think there's going to be a way to either temporarily, maybe just for a few seconds, by hook shotting per se onto them, or by jumping onto them and actually controlling them until you want to get off of them. I don't think they're going to be something because they're enemies that you can take to a stable and be like, "This is my Gargamababa. I'm going to
this is my gargoyle."
Yeah, no, I don't
round them up.
Temporary.
This is my giant mutated keys.
Put a saddle on him.
Exactly.
He's mine now.
I'm gonna call him Charles. Yeah, so
that's funny.
Riding flyable enemies.
Since we're going with the fun things that we want to happen, my honorable mention is going to have to be that we're going to see returning flying enemies, namely either the Georg pair from Minish Cap, the Helmarok King from Wind Waker, or maybe there's not Aerolphos, but there's actually a Lizard King from Twilight Princess as well. Let me figure out what his real name is. He was in the City in the Sky final boss.
Oh, I don't know his name either.
City in the Sky.
The Sky Temple, man.
Yeah, City in the Sky, man.
I haven't played that game since GameCube days.
I know I haven't played it since it came out either, but I looked it up the other day. Oh my goodness.
I just loved the Sky Temple so much. It was my favorite place in that game. I spent so many hours there.
The Twilight Dragon, Argarok. So one of those three will make a return. Argarok is beastly. If they bring back Argarok, I mean, listen, the Gleoks kind of already have King of the Sky look about them, but I didn't want to predict the Gleoks will fly because that would have just been, I don't know.
They like to name their
Skyrim out here.
Giant flying entities after a rock, like Helmarok, Argarok.
Yeah, they for sure do.
Or the giant floating worms, Twinrova. Or wait, no, those weren't called Twinrova. What were those actually called? Or were they?
Twin Mold?
Twin Mold, yeah. Twinrova was the two witches.
Twin mold would be scary.
One of those bosses coming back, even if they're just as an overworld enemy, I would be so happy. So that's my honorable mention for fun.
I still just love Pit Zelda is found and rescued for Kona.
I still have like 4 more theories written here that I haven't even like said anything about.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Like my one that wasn't bold enough was just that there's going to be more of an emphasis on the Zonai/Sheikah and Ganon because of the arm. Yeah, good job, Cameron. Pat myself on the
Yeah,
back.
I had a very bland one. I put like I'm hoping and predicting the story is going to be more laid out because I get it. Like memories are good for Amnesiac Link, but we don't have amnesia anymore. So like I hope there's like no such camera system and memories. Like get that garbage out of here.
Go find this landscape, bro, on the whole map. Find this picture.
Like I don't want to find the story out from taking pictures. I'm sorry.
I get it. I didn't think the system was that bad, but I get it.
It's pretty tedious. I mean, it's cool if you happen to discover all of them as you're playing the game, but most people aren't looking around for those exact pictures everywhere, so they end up having to look a lot and really hard for a couple hours to find them, and that's very tedious.
Yeah.
Good idea on paper, but
2 theories here that kind of went together and kind of already got talked about a little bit, like is with weapon system stuff. One was just weapon horns will be for weapon, like monster horns will be for weapons, right? And monster camps will start having like forges that you can use to like craft some stuff, even if it's just the simple stuff.
Just repair.
Because if it wasn't there, then it would be like Robbie's place would be the only other place I could think of that would readily forge weapons because he already does that.
What if your arm just turned into a hammer anywhere?
And the other, that's ridiculous. And the other one was that Lynels will actually return because we haven't seen one in a trailer yet. And that they will have the sword pieces because we haven't seen a single enemy that has sword horns. And I think the Lynels would be the keepers of the sword. In the old 2D games, they used to like chuck daggers at you. So I think it'd be pretty amazing if they just had sword blades just on them.
The savage sword blades.
Should I just run through? I mean, the last 2 are also pretty simple. One is just 7 tiers for 7 sages. That's just from the hieroglyphs on the wall of like that weird rabbit character and the 7 symbols that are around them. That there would be basically 7 dungeons, maybe 7 sages, 1 per place. Just kind of give an account of what we should expect. Not a huge one, and that's one I've already stated. Like, I don't know if we've actually talked about it on the episode, but I know I've told you guys about that thought before. And then my last one is just naming 3 specific places that I want to see more of, basically. So the Nehru Promenade, you know how there's like a big river with a bunch of pillars and walls that are like built into the side of it that lead right up to Mount Nehru. So that, the Forgotten Temple, and the Ancient Pillars, which are actually like south of the Tabantha region, like they're south of where the Rito live. I know that, but there's a section on the map that's literally just called Ancient Pillars. If you go there, that's exactly what it is: a bunch of ancient pillars and a shrine. I think those 3 areas specifically, like they all kind of have similar architecture, and I think that either they're all going to end up in the sky, or they're all going to end up where the ground's going to come off of them, and we can actually explore into those areas more because of the ground that was lifted into the sky. So basically, they're going to get unearthed one way or another, where we can actually like go into the buildings that were once there, stuff like that.
You just created a new theory in my mind right now by saying that.
Okay.
And I swear I hope this happens now. Terrytown is going to be in the sky.
It wouldn't be hard to remove it. It's not holding on by much.
That would be awesome and hilarious and sad for the people, but also hilarious.
We're self-sufficient. We got Fison. He just goes and gets his supplies from the ground.
But
My new
Cameron, I
dad.
think you would appreciate the last theory that I had was Sfida golf.
Sfida.
Not actually Sfida though. It was just having a golf system would be cool.
That
I
the
didn't
Dark
know they
Cloud-
had Goron
Dark Cloud
golfing.
system.
Dark Cloud 2,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but just like golf
okay.
in general would be sick. I don't. They should just put it in there.
I mean,
So
you
much
guys
land.
didn't play Goron golf.
No, I
yeah.
didn't.
Nah, man. But see, now there's precedence for golf. So, I mean,
Right?
Maybe that Goron will be in. He'll be like the new Gorko, man. He'll just be everywhere playing
Business
golf.
is booming.
golf.
You cleared out this dungeon. Let's play some golf.
You ever play on the coast, Link? That's where I'm at right now. And grab a club or a stick. and
Exactly.
an apple or something. I don't
Grab whatever you can find, man.
know.
Tears of the King.
That's right. So,
All right, I'm all out. I'm all out of theories. I'm all out of guesses.
Same.
I got some more, I guess, real quick ones. Basic, the new arm is basically going to be the new Sheikah Slate. It's going to be able to do every single function that the Sheikah Slate does. Plus, it's going to be what you use to build vehicles. Plus, I think it's probably what you're going to be used to like magnetically pull yourself into the sky. Which maybe also could have been a little obvious or something. Like everyone would have maybe had that thought, like, "Oh, look, new arm. Don't see a Sheikah's tablet, so maybe it does all the stuff." There you go.
I wonder what happens to the
Sheikah's
Sheikah
arm
Slate.
I don't know. And my other one is kind of like
Zelda has it.
Fonzie brought up something that I didn't even. I guess it must have totally slipped by me through all the trailers, but I don't remember seeing the Master Sword at all in any of the trailers getting engulfed by fire at all. So. I said the Master Sword will be knocked into the underground near the beginning of the game, and that you'd have to find it later through playing the story.
Yeah,
pretty basic Zelda stuff.
Watch the delay announcement, and there's actually an entire scene of Link just holding it out in front of him, and it's all like burnt away.
It's damaged,
and then in the
junk.
Most recent trailer, there's like a scene of like Link and Zelda when they're like exploring the caves, and all the malice comes into the room. And if you look, he's holding the Master Sword, and it just has a big red splotch across the blade. So it's kind of doesn't really look like the Master Sword because it's covered up in malice, but that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Or whatever the new like more red material is, might not even be malice.
It's just corruption.
Be like mega malice.
It's blood moon magic.
Cool.
And that's all I'm on.
I think this has been a lot of fun. I really hope to see how this kind of goes. It's literally just going to be like who scores best out of 5. And again, if there's another trailer, we will be able to like readjust our guesses depending on if any of them are actually challenged.
What does the winner
by
get?
A new trailer. We haven't figured that out yet. Maybe that'll be a discussion for another time.
You get to watch your Chipotle down with Taco Bell.
Every day.
That works.
Bragging rights. So you guys remember when I was right about those predictions? That's crazy, right?
Hey, rights don't mean you have to actually exercise them. It's just if you wanted to, you could be like, hey, I remember when I won that thing. There's another game coming out. I'm gonna be
Why do you always try to predict things? Well, remember back with Zelda? I mean, I totally had those guys.
Cool. All right, so I'm gonna close out this episode, and if y'all have any of your own predictions out there, drop them wherever you can find us. We'll take them. We might even read them on another episode before the game comes out. But yeah, hope to hear from you guys soon. So yeah, this has been our episode of A for No, B for Yes. Thank you all for listening. If you want to reach out to us, you can at our website, any of our links, any of our socials, direct message. I run most of those, so you'll be talking to me, but you'll definitely read special reviews or comments or theories or whatever you have on the episode, as long as you reach out. But yeah, we will catch you all on the next episode of A for No, B for Yes, where we are talking about the sword trials. Next episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
Did you tear all that? Tears of the Kingdom. Silly Billies.
So while we're in disarray, I was doing my amiibo cards last night while playing the game, and I got a lucky drop.
Nice.
You wanna know what I got? You wanna know what I got? You wanna know what I got? Big Goron sword.
Ooh, what's the damage
Yeah.
on that, baby?
I put that up in my house.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was 67.
Did it have a buff
67
too,
on the
or
big
was it
Goron
just?
sword?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well,
Oh, I don't know. I haven't
back,
used
baby.
it. Hey, the video back.
I do not know what's going on, guys. It was like the most ridiculous set of spikes, followed by dead, and now it looks like it's stabilizing again. Like it's going to a regular curve and it's not dying over and
Got
over.
that Fios hiccup. All right, we good.
The Fios hiccup, man. So, what I was saying before all of that nonsense was that
and the
this time
nonsense
along,
returns.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, you froze again as soon as you said after we're done with that nonsense.
And then you froze again when you
And
tried to
again.
explain it.
Yeah.
It's
Yo,
painful.
Nintendo
oopsie.
trying to stop me right now.
So to continue the disarrayment story, so I got the big Goron sword, and after that, I immediately went and put it in my house. And I was like worshiping big Goron sword. I'm like, you look beautiful, and it had a little Goron face. It looked a little different than the Ocarina of Time one.
Understand.
It had a little Goron face. Oh, he's back.
Am I?
Yeah,
Kind
to
of.
us. Oh,
Nope.
it's like when you say something about him being back, his internet's like, oh, no.
It's playing that game where it's like holding it out to you, and then you go to grab it. It's like, no.
Right?
Oh, you got it back. Oh, no,
$1.
I didn't think so.
All right. So it looks like he's still
So wait,
frozen.
was your Big Goron sword enchanted though, or was it just base 67 Big Goron sword?
Well, it had attack up something. I don't know what the attack up. So its base is lower.
Okay, so
But
the base
I don't
is not
know-
67.
Yeah, but I don't know if it had any special
Maybe like a
abilities to it.
Base
Because like if you get
55
the
plus 12.
maybe because it was like if you get the goddess sword, that like when you swing it, it shoots tornadoes. I was like,
Goddess tornado sword?
yeah. But I don't know if that one had, you like probably like smack it and like boulders come out or something. I don't know. I didn't check. I just put it straight in my house.
Just put it straight in my house.
I'm pinging Google, guys.
Google.
That's
So
gonna get you on a
far,
list.
0% lost on the first ping, 0% lost on the second ping. I don't know if I should trust it. I hate this game. How's that big Goron sword, though?
Yeah, enchanted. Possibly plus 12 attack. It's great.
I got an entire story out while you were
Mhm.
gone.
I caught bits and pieces.
Hey.
My house is looking nice right now. I got a goddess sword in there from Skyward Sword. I got the big Goron sword. I have the royal shield, which is like the gold greenish knight shield, better than the silver one. And I have a bow that does like 64 damage. It's one of the royal bows that has like tack up like 18 or something.
Yeah. The presence of a goddess sword seems kind of messed up with the lore of the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, they just kind of threw it in there like it's fine.
It's fine.
They also have
fine.
they
You
have
got
the
fierce deity stuff in there too.
They have the bow from Skyward Sword too. I don't remember what it was called.
You know, all the masks, like especially the fierce deity mask, that comes from purgatory, my guy.
Right.
Majora's Mask.
Coming straight
Yeah.
out of limbo.
That's a pretty accurate face that Fonz just froze on for the fact that it's happening again.
Yep. He's like, yep, this is it.
He's like, yep, this poo poo is back again.
This is like that you know the at the end of a JoJo episode where it's like they freeze frame on someone and it's like to be continued. It's like do that song that plays.
Yeah.
That would be great here on this freeze frame, Fonz. God, I want to watch JoJo again. That's a good show. But
So
specifically, like,
season 2 through 4.
yeah, I don't
Or
want to
3 or
start with
4.
1. 2 is where it
Yeah.
was good.
And I also don't really want to continue past like 6 or 7. Because I tried watching Stone Ocean.
I heard it wasn't good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna reset my router, guys.
I think Golden Wind is the last like good JoJo adventure. There's a 7 now after Stone Ocean.
Oh no, Stone Ocean was the most recent. We digressed hard on this for a Zelda podcast, though.
We did.
JoJo's.
It's all just from the to be continued thing.
Yeah.
Need to like reset the whole. Oh,
hi.
Clear and nice.
Did I guess right? You went and reset your modem and router? Or
I
no?
did. Sorry, I tried to send a private chat to say that's what I was gonna do.
All I got was the Nintendo's after me.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I said I was gonna reset the router after that. So stupid.
Nintendo's checking for all DMCA's.
Yeah, right.
How dare you talk about our games?
All I was trying to do was talk about Stinking Mountain.
Nintendo is there's like videos everywhere online right now. Like, is like Nintendo is just really mad right now.
Of course.
Everywhere.
Because stuff about Tears of the Kingdom is leaking.
Because it's leaking everywhere and
The
they
art
can't
book,
control it,
yeah.
and they're very mad.
There's leaks in like every major gaming company and everything these days. It's so annoying. I don't want to see this stuff. Stop.
I know. It's
People
funny
just can't wait.
because I mean I'm on Twitter when like right the day that it all happened, and almost every major creator that I follow for Zelda stuff was like, please don't do this. like why did this happen? Like I think even Zeltic tweeted like not like this.
Yeah.
like a crying face. I'm like,
Is
yeah.
nothing video game sacred anymore? This is the new biggest Zelda game that everyone's been hyped for the past like 6 years, and you're gonna start leaking stuff like 2.5 months before release. Really, whoever you are,
Yeah.
really, come on.
The one thing that
Have a
I did
conscience.
read about was that the art book that was leaked didn't contain any like anything story related that would like give the story away of the game, like how it ends.
Sure.
So there's that, but
Like, so there's no bosses in that book.
I saw one spoilery tweet, but no images and no like elaboration on what it was.
I haven't either. I'm not doing it.
I haven't even seen a single video on YouTube that's been like Zelda leak. And I have a couple people that generally pop up when there's Zelda news, and I haven't heard anybody even mention the leak yet outside of what I've heard from Yufan. So I guess most people are just trying to hush it and not spread it around like with a lot of other leaks, like Pokemon leak. We got 5 new Pokemon. But no, Zelda, everyone's just kind of like, guys, let's just chill. We want this to be fresh. Everyone wants to enjoy this when it comes out. New experience.
Yeah, people are avoiding it more than anything right now. It seems like,
Yeah,
at least the circles that I'm in.
People
More
usually
impressive
embrace
than
the leaks,
Pokemon.
but in this, I'm hearing it hushed,
Yeah,
which I approve of. I think there should be more hushing of this stuff.
right. Are we ready to jump back in? I think I got a steady enough connection.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
You've been good.
Okay, cool. The reset magic. Did you try to turn it off and on again? Exactly what I did, actually.
And it worked, as it does too often.
Apparently, I need a new modem. This one's dying on me.
Yeah.